Hey, you guys, and welcome to my channel. Sometimes survivors really wonder, and people are just curious, period. Is that a narcissist, a sociopath, or a psychopath? Now, there are a lot of gray areas, guys. I'm going to just say that right off the bat, and things that these three have in common. But once we understand each one as much as possible, there are some slight variations here in things that one is more susceptible in their traits and behaviors um, to display than another. Okay, and once we look at these details, we're able to help gauge it and actually make an intelligent guess here, or be able to narrow it down. I have a pretty good idea of which one this person is. I mean, all of them are narcissists in some shape, form, or fashion. But like I said, we can look at these three categories that I've isolated to help, observe about this person to help figure this out, okay? So the three categories that we're going to be looking at is social needs, criminal background, and emotional displays, okay? This is going to help us be able to gauge which this person is most likely and least likely, okay? So when we're talking about the social aspects of a person, we're talking about, how do they typically integrate into society socially? And what are their general requirements or needs in this area, okay? Because narcissism is a spectrum. And so we have a scale. And as we progress on the scale, these needs and displays can and do have some differences, okay? And that's going to help us, at least take one area to determine, all right? So a narcissist, how do they integrate socially? What are their social needs when it's not a narcissist that's a psychopath or a sociopath? Well, narcissists by themselves, just pure narcissists, they're actually tend to be pretty social for the most part. And we're going to be talking general here, okay? We're going to be talking in a general sense, more than not, basically. They're typically pretty social, right? And their life seems to revolve highly around being integrated socially. They want to be socially accepted. They want, the admiration. They want to look good in society. They care a lot about that, okay? So that's the box we're gonna put the narcissist in. They care socially, they want to be integrated, they want to look the part, at least in the public, right? So they care about that. Now, if we went all the way to the opposite end of the spectrum for the sociopath, they don't put a lot of value on that. Generally speaking, we're going to be general here. They don't need to have all these friends. They don't need to have the admiration. They're very happy to get away with things in private and to secretly know that they did something. They don't have to let the other person know that I outsmarted you. They don't need that admiration. So, those are one end of the spectrum here. So it's easy to find out, is this person, you're looking at the social aspect, that they have to be seen. Were they extremely social? It's going to be lessening the probability of psychopathy there. Okay. Now, sociopaths, they're in the middle socially, and they like to be stimulated as well. As we progress down from narcissist, sociopath, and psychopath, that need to be socially integrated lessens, okay? So yeah, the sociopath does like that stimulation, but Socially, they have a disregard for others. And I know you guys are going to say narcissists do too, but it's not like a complete disregard for others. You know, they may have their emotional punching bag with the primary source, right? But then they're going to have a regard for the people that they want to continue to see them in a good light. You know, a sociopath can have a complete disregard for people. You know, they're able to just go into complete selfish mode where they don't care if anyone likes them. Okay? So when we're looking at the social aspects here, that's something to consider. And seeing how social they were, how much they needed to be integrated, and how much they needed to be acknowledged. All right? Now, the sociopath is going to be probably the most charming out of all three. So that makes them have the ability to be social when they want to. All right. So there's one category there, looking at the social aspects. Now we're going to talk about criminal background. Now, when we think about a narcissist, they try to run away from punishment. You know, they don't really want to feel pain. That's why they're stuffing their feelings and they're not really, from my observations anyway, they're not really looking to be punished. And I know you're going to say nobody's looking to be punished, but some people have more anxiety over that than others. And on the spectrum, the narcissist is going to have the most anxiety about punishment, because when we connect it to the social needs, if this person wants to be seen as good and acceptable, they're being punished for something. Now you're bad, you're wrong. Okay. So it kind of goes against their social needs of wanting to be admired and wanting to be seen as good. Okay. So this person may not have a criminal background, or they'll have the minimal or the lesser criminal background of the other two. Okay, so when we go on to a sociopath, this person usually has a criminal background. You know, because they tend to not really learn from their past mistakes. So this person might be constantly going in and out of jail for the same thing. You know, that's what you might find with them. All right, and then we'll go to the psychopath when it comes to a criminal background. Now, this person may or may not have a criminal background. Now, as we go up the scale, the IQ tends to rise as well. So, whereas the narcissist would most likely be deemed the category of being caught. They'll be caught the most for their criminal behaviors because they need the admiration. They're probably going to go run their mouth about it to the wrong person, or, you know, they want to get props for, you know, for the doing this thing. You know, they want to use it to get supply. All right. When we go to the psychopath, you know, they don't need that admiration, as we talked about on the social need level. So, you know, they're fine with committing crimes that nobody would ever know about, but it's just satisfying what they wanted to do. But being socially known for it, socially accepted for it, and all this other stuff, you know, that's not their concern. That's not going to be their concern, guys. And this person, you know, is more like a predator. They're just very robotic about it as well. So the psychopath may have committed the most crimes, but they may be the least found or the least exposed for those crimes. And then they're just like giddy on the inside, like, oh my God, I got away with this. All right. So Yeah. And then, I wanted to point something else out about the social aspects when we look at the length of relationships as well. Sociopaths are known to have just short relationships. And you guys are going to say narcissists can have that as well. Well, because of their high need for stimulation and having the warp out of all three, the most outward display of disregard for others, people find out really quick about them and bail, okay? So they have a lot of short-term relationships, and they have the highest um, attitude towards spontaneity, okay? So they're very spontaneous as well, guys, all right? So they have difficult, turbulent relationships. Now, a psychopath, on the other hand, this person could fly under the radar. This person could fly more under the radar. They could have actually long relationships. Studies have been shown, and we interview people who were married to psychopaths who were mass murderers at night. They just switch modes, and their wife or their husband never knew, like, oh my God, like they've always been caring and loving towards me. I had no idea. They're always startled to find out these things about the psychopath because they're able, out of all three, to compartmentalize the best. Okay. Now, a narcissist, they're able to have long-term relationships. Yeah, they are able. But if I had to rank them in their ability to have the length, of their relationship, I guess I'll put them second. I'll put the psychopath first for being able to have the longest range relationships, then the narcissist, and then the sociopath third, and their abilities to be able to sustain relationships. Okay. Yeah. So the third area, guys, that I wanted to measure them in is emotional displays. And as we go further up the spectrum, that void and that black hole gets deeper and deeper. Okay, so narcissists are going to have the most emotional displays, then the psychopath, and then the sociopath have little to none. And then on top of that, when we observe their ways of displaying emotions, like the psychopaths, they're very awkward. When I observe them trying to mimic, human emotions, theirs is the most awkward and plastic feeling. Like you can tell, that they are faking the funk, that they are mimicking. It just feels plastic. Now, a sociopath, they're known to be very charming. So they're actually pretty good at faking the funk or faking it. And I can't even say faking it till they make it, because they're not making it. They're just doing it, for some type of con artist, reason. They're conning people, duping others all the time. So, but they use their charming abilities to just get what they want. And then, as soon as they get it, they're able to switch. A psychopath might dupe you and not switch, and that keeps them hidden. Then you don't know what they've gotten away with doing to you, because they didn't really make that clear switch where you can see the change. And then that could allow them to be a mole. You don't know that this is the person that's been doing things behind the scenes for years and observing you from a distance while they've been, playing with you like a puppet on a string. This is something that they could do. A sociopath, they have no need to continue that because their total disregard for others. They have no need to pretend that front for you after they've gotten what they wanted. Okay. Now, a narcissist, they're, to me, on the lower range of all this, having any control over their emotions. And we know that something called narcissistic injuries can happen with them, and they can be very exploitive, if you will. I say that they run off of their emotions, and as we go further up the scales, we're running more off of our logic than emotions. And then when we go all the way to the end of the scale, there are no emotions. You know, like this person is like a black hole that has no emotions. All right, so, and that basically makes them cold-blooded at that point. All right. So I'm just looking over my notes here. So yeah, when we consider that person's social needs, how they socially integrate, and we look at how they conduct their relationships. All right, and then number two, when we consider the criminal background, which any one of them could have, but like I said, the sociopath tend to be perpetual in and out of jail for the same thing. Narcissists, they have more of a fear base, but they make poor decisions, so they can still end up having a criminal record, of course, but there's more of a fear for them. So maybe theirs is less extensive, you know. And then the psychopath is that one that can fly under the radar, so that can make it tricky with them if you're just looking at the criminal background. That's why we need to look at all three to gauge this better. And then we look at the emotional displays, and we went through that, how the narcissist, plain narcissist, you know, they're just running off of emotions, and you know that the psychopath is being more logical. You know, that's how they're duping people. They're taking their emotions out of it. They're just logical. I want this. I have to pretend to be that to get it. Okay, now I have it. The mask drops. You know, I'm done with you. You know, the psychopath may follow things through in another way, like I said, and they may keep the mask up, and it may not be revealed. You may not know that they were the ones who did it, you know, unless they want you to know. You know, they have a sadistic nature as well. All of them do, unless they really want you to know that they're the ones who did this. They're okay with just getting what they want privately and secretly. Okay, so yeah, yeah. So that's something to think about as well. I guess I can add in here. So I'm just, you know, this is an impromptu conversation here for the most part. We think about envy as well. Narcissists have that, and as we go up the spectrum, you know, that can lessen with the psychopath. They're not particularly jealous in that way. So, but narcissists do and have that. So I wanted to point that out too. I'm trying to think. Delusionalness. Let's talk about that. And this is going to depend on the angle that you look at this from, but as we go up the spectrum, that person's delusional temperament starts to shrink. You know, we know that narcissists are very delusional. They're very delusional in the way that they see the world and what they're expecting from people, expecting loyal and believing that they're better than and all this other stuff. And yes, the sociopath and the psychopath, they think that they're better than others as well. They do. But with the narcissist, there's some delusionalness as far as the way that the world works per se. Whereas with the sociopath and the psychopath, you know, they're in more acceptance as we go up the chain of how the world works. Is just a lack of a care for how that works. You know, like with the sociopath, they say these are the people that feel like they're above the law, and that's why they tend to have these repeated offenses, like the rules don't apply to them. You'll hear that a lot. All right, and that's how that plays out with them. And the psychopath, yeah, they don't feel like the rules apply to them either. But, as the IQ increases with each one, they find slicker ways to manipulate a system, a situation, a person, place, or thing to be able to maneuver these rules, whereas a sociopath is just breaking them. Like, oh, it's like they've obviously broken the law type of thing. Okay. All right. So I'm hoping that this is helping someone be able to differentiate. All of them underestimate people. They do. But I think that with each level, there tends to be more preparation on it, meaning a narcissist is more likely to be blindsided than a psychopath. The psychopath, it's not that they're giving you more credit, but their higher IQ and intellect is allowing them to see more angles, and moving more out of their logic than emotions, which they have none. Is making them be able to map out a more solid plan. They're not being intercepted by their delusionalness that the narcissist has. So, they're going to have a tighter plan for executing something that they want to get done. So I wanted to point that out too. As we go up the spectrum, their ability to plan and follow through is going to get better as well. Okay. But the sociopath, their quality of life, because a lot of times being in and out of jail, it prevents them from being able to have, that better quality of life. Although that, there are instances, but we're talking generally here, where they could have, a pretty solid life and go on to be good and successful. All right. But yeah, these are little differences to help you differentiate, but they're all going to lie to you or be dishonest. You're going to be harmed in some way, either knowingly or unknowingly. Okay. And the lower we go down the scale, typically the more obvious that harm becomes. And then none of them are going to put you as equal to them. They're all selfish in their own right. Okay. So, we took a very complex conversation here, guys. And like I said, there's a lot of gray areas, but hopefully, if you're looking at the social needs, the criminal backgrounds, and the emotional displays here, is helping you to be able to gauge, like I said, and to put them, in the category where they most likely belong. All right. So I hope that this has helped you. If this video resonated with you, go ahead and hit the like button, guys. If you haven't done so, feel free to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. And for those of you who have been subscribers, just revisit that bell function, because now there's like 3 options. And a lot of people tell me that they don't get the notifications. They may need to re-hit that first bell, which notifies you of uploads, okay? I do offer one-on-one coaching to people who are trying to understand this thing and, heal from a toxic relationship, do shadow work on themselves, reach a goal in life, and all types of things. You can visit my website, lakiacrawford.com, and that link is below the description here to book your appointment. All right, I do have a support group over on Facebook for survivors of narcissistic abuse. If you're interested in that, the link is below in the description as well. While you're on my website, guys, feel free to check out my other products. I've written 4 therapeutic books to help you understand toxic relationships and break free from them and find your healing. I have no narc merchandise, cute matching t-shirts and caps, bumper stickers, mouse pads, and different things that can help you use your fashion statement to show your attitude against narcissistic abuse, but have fun with your fashion. All right. I have a Patreon, guys. It's a monthly membership where you support the work that I do, and you get some great perks for doing that. You can find a membership if you're interested in doing that. And thank you to all of my Patreon subscribers that I currently have. And thank you to everyone that supports the channel. Free ways to support the channel is to always hit the like button, comment. It helps push the content out in the YouTube world, guys. And this is great to be able to spread emotional maturity. All right. So every time you are interactive on the channel, hitting the like and commenting, you're helping to spread awareness as well. All right. Along with, helping to increase your own emotional maturity. All right, guys. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end this video, guys. And what do I say at the end of all my videos? Never give up on yourself. Continue to do the work. And until next time, please take care.